Again, nothing on the seller. The seller sold me what I asked for. And like I said, I'm learning to do hats, and a lot of the stuff I don't know. So when I be making orders, I kept ordering everything at 21 inches because that's the size of my head when I bring the band around, and that's skin tight when I do it going around. So if my head is measuring 21 inches, you have to put the sweatband in there. You have to do all that. If you don't do that, your block will wind up being smaller. So what I did again was modified the block. I want to make sure that the topper still fits. So if you notice, the topper still fits, but I have to modify it. And see, this hat fits, right? So checking the measurements. See that? Perfect fit. So when I do my hats, this will be the size that I need. So do your measurements right. Get your right size so you won't have to do the modification. The seller didn't mess up anything for me. I did it for myself, not knowing. Now that I know, I add that in there. So I just modified this because if I let my hat sit on that block, it'll be small, tight. So now that I got this modified, the head is still drying. I have it over here. I'm going to take this off. I put this in there. So now we're going to put this here. We're going to put it back on. Now we're going to have it where it's going to be my exact size, okay? See, I was giving me a little flux putting it on there because it wasn't the right size. And that's how I knew, like, if I'd have dried it at that step, it would have been too small, okay? So while I was drying, I'm like, you know what? Let me modify this block because it is going to wind up being too small. I don't want to have that problem. So while I was still doing what it needed to do, I'm like, let me get this modified. So now it will fit my head the correct way, not be too small. And I don't know what I did with the rope. I believe it's downstairs. So now I can put the break in the hat. Now that I have the correct size. But yeah, know your measurements. If your head measures at 21, add 2 more inches to that for the sweatband, because when you put the sweatband on, it's going to get tighter. And then when you're doing that measurement, that's flush to your head. You don't want your hat to be tight like that, okay? You do not want your hat to be tight like that. So now I can repress this out, and I can go and get the rubber band, and I can put the brake on there. I can add the brake into there now, because now this hat is going to fit and line up perfect. So I'm going to turn on the iron, and I got to go get the brake. Now I can let it dry, and then it's going to fit just like this hat without a problem in the world. But yeah, that be the problem. Like, I'm new to hat making and not knowing my stuff, so it's not on the vendor. The vendor gonna sell you what you ask for. If you ask for a certain size, that's what he's gonna sell you. But if you know your correct size, do your measurements, give your correct size, and go on his site. And if he don't have it available, he can make it for you. So just because you don't see it there, if your head measures bigger, send him a message, and he will assist you. So yes, I had to modify this one. I'm gonna have to modify the other one. So I just started ordering and did not have none of this stuff figured out. You know, I was ordering from the size I will order when I would do my wig, which would be 21 inches, which is like a small. But when you're wearing a hat, you don't want your hat to fit like how a wig will fit you. Snug tight. No. You want that hat to have some wiggle room in it, because it's like you taking something and putting it on your head and it's stiff. Not good. All right, guys. So I'm going to get the brake, put the brake in there, iron it out again. I'll see y'all in another video. Toodles. Okay, so now I have the brake in the hat like I didn't have it before. I got the new shape that is going to fit my head from the modifications. So now I will press it, going around, making sure that I get the brake in the hat, because now I have the correct size. So now I go flush to the hat and put the brake in there now, because now it's my size, the correct size, where the hat can relax on my head. So just know your measurements before you start, you know, ordering the hats. Know it, and it'll be 10 times better. So we're gonna steam up this some more. And now I can let this dry for 24 hours. And I'll be good. Okay. All right. So now that I have the correction that I need, now I could let my hat go ahead and take shape and dry now. You can let it dry. The brake is on the hat. Everything is done now. So now I have the brake on the hat to my measurements, my size. At first it had been too small, so I modified it. Let me show you guys really quick. And I did the same method I did in the other video. See that? It's modified 23 inches. It was 21 inches. So now I have that 23 inches. I can rest assured to let this dry and know that this hat will fit me perfect without being too tight and too small looking. All right, guys. So know your size to the box you need. And fast shipping. I listed the seller's store, but put your size in there and you'll go from there. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Toodles.